It is a practical all-weather bike, as well as a gravel bike capable of taking 45mm tyres. And it just opens up so much more of the map to explore or just use for efficient shortcuts to work. My name's Guy Kesterman. I've been a professional bike and kit tester for over 27 years. And today, the bike I'm reviewing is the Kinesis G2 on and off-road all-rounder. And while it doesn't look that radical, one thing we'll notice straight away is the Kinesis rider fit geometry. It isn't to do with steering or anything like that, it's more about stance on the bike. So what you've got is a much lower than normal centre of gravity. So the whole bike feels lower and hunkered down onto the trail, which gives it a lot more stability than you typically get from what are pretty much road angles and road reaches. But it does take a bit of getting used to it first. Just from an altitude height, feels like I've got my seat too low whenever I get on it, but once you're used to it, it's absolutely fine. You're still in the same position in relation to everything else, it's just you're cruising at a lower altitude. You know, it really is designed as a bike to transition between road riding and off-road. You know, it's not a gravel bike designed to live off-road all the time. So, you know, the angles are quite road bike-ish, to be fair. Responsive and snappy. 71, 74. And the ride feel is as well. And even choosing things like those G1 tyres gives it a good rolling speed on road, while still being trustworthy off in all weathers. But that doesn't mean it can't put a decent turn of speed on over some nice baked single track when the chance arises, or dive onto the local bike path out of town, whether that's dodging traffic before a big day out or just commuting in and out of work. Because you've got all those mudguard and rack fixtures if you want to turn this G2 into your day-to-day workhorse. And while it's definitely got enough smoothness to be comfortable over big distances, one of the Kinesis ambassador riders actually chose this for the transcontinental race. There's still enough bite when you put the power down. There's no slouch on climbs either. And even with pedals and a cage and everything on, it weighs 10.3 kilos for this 56. So it's going to be sub 10 with no pedals on. And stick some slick road tyres on it. Be perfectly acceptable winter, commuter, summer, Audax or sporty bike. It really is properly versatile little machine, this G2. Practical and exploration ready. And while I'd say the frame is kind of happy medium in terms of stiffness over smoothness, this full carbon fork is really, really good in terms of sucking up the bumps, even on those dreaded baked in tractor ruts and old medieval farm track cobbles. The only thing I'll potentially say is try and persuade your Kinesis dealer to upgrade the bar tape, because the original tape is a little bit basic. And also with this round bar profile, if you just moved the cables to the back and use them to kind of create more a teardrop shape, that give you a little more support when you're on the tops. Because now it's baked, you know, that hand comfort is very, very important on longer rides. And I'm not going to tell you it's a mountain bike equivalent and you can go super rad on red runs on it, because I'm not even sure that's true on any gravel bike, but this definitely isn't designed with the handling or the supersized tyre capability to go for it, but it's certainly fun playing about, you know, on simple twisties like this. And you know, the ride quality is certainly enough to take a bit of a rough and tumble in its stride without tripping up too badly. But you know, it's got a conventional, it's a compact bar for sure, but it's not super flared or super wide or anything like that. Well, that means, you know, when you're nipping through traffic when you're late for work, all right, then you're not going to be taking out wing mirrors, and it's not going to feel like a barge when you're racing roadies in the traffic light Grand Prix either. And this apex is the bottom level SRAM, so you know there's none of the power meter potential of rival, and it's 11 speed rather than 12, but I have to say, really impressed me. It's just good, simple, reliable functionality. Just does everything you need it to when you need it to. And as you can see, you've got internal cable routing in fork and frame, and a conventional threaded box back. And in terms of obvious competitors, it's definitely comfier than the Fossil carbon fork. I'd say it's not quite as smooth as the Sonda Camino, and also it doesn't have quite as many fixtures for bike packing, and it's a little more expensive, and it hasn't got a slack head angle like that bike either. But if you're mixing on and off-road more, then this is probably the handling you want. And the other important thing is that while you can buy Kinesis direct, you'll normally get them through your local independent bike dealer, whereas Fossil, and to a greater or less extent Sonda, are direct sell. And because you've got that full Explorer cassette range, that means, you know, you can tackle properly steep little pulls or cruise up the climbs when you're loaded with no drama at all. Or just chill out, listen to the bird song. Depends on how you're serving up your spirit of gravel today. And while this has, you know, your commuting mounts that you need and plenty of bottle cages, that, you know, this certainly isn't the only adventure bike in the Kinesis range. You got the Tripster, got the ATR, even got the Fernweg. If you want a proper dedicated ultra distance adventure bike, in fact it's pretty much specialist subject of Kinesis, is long distance riding and adventure bikes. And if you think Your off-road sessions are going to be very limited, so you don't need big tyre clearance, but you do want a bike that rolls out the distances beautifully, thanks to a particularly gorgeous scandium alloy frame. And make sure you watch my Kinesis RTD video as well. Thanks very much indeed. Cheers. Or just go onto the Kinesis Bikes website and get yourself a good eyeful of what's on offer there. So they have got pretty much every option covered, from cross race and road race right through to Emma Ossington's dedicated Eastern Bloc inspired titanium plus size adventure bike, the Fernweg. So there you go. I'm not going to say it's a bike that's, you know, radical or, you know, outstanding in any particular way. It's just a really well sorted, well spec'd, neatly designed, very balanced town and country all-rounder at a decent price from a company with masses of experience of this kind of versatile adventure bike. So massive thanks to my channel supporters from the industry. If you could bear those guys in mind when you're shopping for new stuff and support them in the way they support me, that'd be excellent. Massive thanks to my Patreon subscribers as well, who pledge on a monthly basis, and they get early, exclusive and extended ad-free edits as a thank you. So if you really like them during the channel, then please consider supporting me on Patreon on a monthly basis like those guys whose names are scrolling up now. But otherwise, like, subscribe, click for notifications, and make sure you tell your mates there's an old chap riding around talking about bikes. Because if you've got this far through the edit, then hopefully they'll enjoy watching it as well. But for now, I've been Guy Kesterman on Guy Kest TV, talking about the affable, all-country, all-rounder, the Kinesis UK G2. I wonder if you get lots of Kinesis gravel bikes together, it's a G2 summit. Guess we'll never know.